Do my eyes deceive me, or did Stephen King just tell children to go look up porn? Stephen King tweets out and says, "Hey kids, it's your old buddy Steve here, telling you that if they ban a book in your school, haul your butt to the nearest bookstore or library as soon as possible and find out what they don't want you to read." Now, God forbid any of these young kids actually take Stephen King's advice, because if they did, these are some examples of what they might have found. Wow, so wholesome. Very child appropriate. See, Stephen, you might not understand this, but the reason that parents all across the country have sought to have books like that banned is not because they want to reinstate the Third Reich. It's not because they're Nazi sympathizers or little Hitlers running around here on a book-burning crusade. It's because they don't want their children to be exposed to quite literally pornographic material. And I don't know, frankly, who the heck you think you are to interject yourself into that relationship between a parent and their child and tell those kids, well, hey, little Johnny, little Susie, I know that your mom doesn't want you to see graphic homosexual porn while you're in school, but here's what you should do. You should just defy the will of your parents, run to the nearest library, and just go look up that porn yourself. Personally, I think on a broader scale, this is nothing more than the newest branch off of this crusade from the radical left to create this schism, to create this divide between parents and their children. They want the education system to put these thoughts in your kid's head that you are somehow a bigot, you are somehow awful, that your children shouldn't be listening to you. Instead, they should look to people like Stephen King. They should look to people who propagate the liberal narrative. They should look to their almighty God, the federal government, instead of the reality that they should be looking to their parents and the true God, Jesus Christ. No, the federal government, these liberal oligarchs, they want to replace God. They want to replace the parents. They want the state to be raising your kid. And if they get the opportunity to do so, Stephen King and others have made it very, very clear that their number one order of business is to expose your children to godless, hedonistic, horrible imagery like literal graphic pornography. Now is the time to get your kids out of the public education system. If you can figure out a way, I know that this is difficult, but if you can figure out a way, get your kids into a good Christian private school, get your kids into a good homeschool with a good Christian, community. There's a lot of communities popping up all across the country of Christian parents just like you, who are realizing they're reading the tea leaves and they're recognizing that their country is going to hell in a handbasket right now, and they see what's happening in the education system. They're pulling their kids out. So if you can possibly find a way, definitely get your kids out. By the way, while we're on the topic of this, I think that the time has come for churches. I know a lot of pastors are out there. I know a lot of pastors watch my content. The time has come for pastors and churches to start fostering these kinds of environments. We spend, as the capital C Christian Church, we spend an awful lot of money on missions. We send people all over the country, and that's amazing. We send people all over the country, all over the world to spread the gospel. That's awesome. But I think it's time that we start using some of that funding, some of the missions funding, to create, homeschool co-ops, to create maybe a fund so that single mothers can send their kids to private school instead of having to send them to the government school. I think, we complain about the government all the time, but oftentimes the government has expanded in a void that was left by the church. The church has stopped their charitable donations. The church has stopped, helping single mothers. The church has stopped doing a lot of the things that we're called to do. We should be the light of Christ in our community, yet for some weird reason, we've kind of abandoned those responsibilities, and nature hates a void. The government will always step in. So I don't know how I got off on that soapbox, but I think the time has come for certain programs like that within the capital C Church. I'm sure that a lot of you, let me know in the comments, I'm sure a lot of you go to churches that already do stuff like that. I just would love to see more of it. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Folks, if you like this kind of content, consider becoming a supporter of the page on thegoons.locals.com. Only $3 a month. You get early access to podcasts, exclusive content, and it helps keep the lights on around here. Anyways, that's all I've got for you, folks. Until next time, keep me in your prayers. Keep your country in your prayers. Keep your kids out of the public school. God bless.